Spider-Man is back in the MCU. Let's talk about it. All right, so let's start from the beginning. In the 1990s, Marvel Comics was going bankrupt. They sold the movie and merchandising rights to Spider-Man and to a lot of their other characters. Fun fact, Sony had a chance to buy the rights to all of the Avengers. That means Iron Man, Captain America, the whole kit and caboodle. But they passed and just grabbed up Spider-Man. Now, the deal included a provision that a Spider-Man movie must be produced every 5 years or so, or the rights would revert back to Marvel. So at this point in time, Sony had the merchandising rights and the movie rights to Spider-Man and some of the other characters in the Spider-Man universe. Now, this provision that movies had to be developed every couple of years was also included in the contracts with other movie studios, for instance, like Fox with the X-Men and Fantastic Four. In 2011, Sony needed some serious cash. So they sold back the Spider-Man merchandising rights to Marvel, which is currently making something like $1 billion a year off the Spider-Man merchandising rights. Now, to put that in some context, Spider-Man is far and away the most merchandisable superhero on the planet. It outsells the number 2 superhero by like double, and the number 2 is Batman. So at this point in time, Sony had the movie rights and Marvel had the merchandising rights. Now, just to be clear, Spider-Man is the most well-known and profitable Marvel character, period. Now, let's fast forward to 2016. See, Marvel and Sony struck a deal to bring Spider-Man to the MCU. Now, Spider-Man would appear in 5 movies: Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, the terms of the deal were simple. Disney would receive 5% gross box office revenue starting from the film's first day of release, and they would get all that merchandising money because they own the merch, and Sony would keep everything else. Disney actually didn't have to pay anything to produce the movie. They just got 5% gross receipts. So off $1 billion, that turns into like 50 million, I think it is. Is it 50 million? It's a nice little chunk. Plus all the merch. Disney said this deal is not going to work for us. See, Disney owned the merchandising rights outright, so that shouldn't even be a part of the deal. And the fact that the Marvel Spider-Man movies were the biggest movies in Sony history. It's time to renegotiate. So Disney said they wanted a 50-50 deal right down the middle. They'll pay for half the movie and take half the profits. Sony said, hell no. See, Sony owned the movie rights outright. And with the success of Venom, did they really need Marvel? Then the Star Wars thing happened. So what am I talking about? Well, see, Star Wars started tanking. Solo failed. Star Wars Land Attraction wasn't selling. The president of Disney says George Lucas feels betrayed by the new Star Wars movies. And he also admitted that things may not be going in the right direction. So Star Wars has turned into a huge mess. So if you're Marvel, do you really need to lose the biggest character in the Marvel universe at this time? No. Marvel and Sony seem to meet in the middle. Now Marvel would take 25% of the profits and pay 25% of the cost. Now that's a deal that looks good for both sides, but at the end of the day, the fans won't care. They just want to see Spider-Man back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So what do you think? Who won the deal? Do you think Sony got a better deal, or do you think Marvel got a better deal? Leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. And if you made it to this part of the video, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Peace.